Hello, and welcome to Pop and Fig. In this episode, I'm going to go over what you should know before you watch Avengers Endgame. Now, if you are new to Marvel, do not watch this video yet. Watch my other videos in this MCU summary series. This is the last video in that series. So if you're new to Marvel, watch these other videos. That way I'm not speaking a whole other language to you. So for this video, since we are somewhat moving over past Infinity War, even though I'm going to talk about it a little bit for summary's sake, I am going to wear a different hat, which is this. This is a new hat, and it has the Infinity Stones, the Avengers logo, and the Infinity Gauntlet on the back. So, this video will also be spoiler-free for those of you that do not want to watch the trailers. And what I mean by spoiler-free, I'm not going to do any special theories, disclaim any theories, and I'm not going to do any trailer footage for the new Avengers Endgame movie. So, I'm pretty much just going to go over the events beforehand, which would be common knowledge for pretty much everybody to know going into the movie. So with that, I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to start this video off by going over the events of Avengers Infinity War. Now, what happened in that movie? I'm going to lightly brush over. I'm not going to go into each mini detail for time's sake. First off, I will go over who Thanos is, who's really only appeared in this movie. Sure, he may have appeared in the Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's kind of a different Thanos. So Thanos, within these movies, the more recent movies, he has the goal of trying to wipe out half of sentient life. Now, it is similar to the comics. However, his comic counterpart is pretty heartless. Whereas the one in the movies, he has a reason that we can actually understand. And in the movies, it is because, like, our agriculture and our resources grow at a linear rate, an arithmetic rate, which pretty much means a steady rate. If you look at a graph, it's straight. Whereas populations of sentient life, such as humans, grow at an exponential rate, which is like a curve on the graph. From his eyes, he's like, oh, populations are growing out of control. Like, they're going to run out of resources. I could just get all the Infinity Stones, take a snap with my fingers, and wipe out half of the sentient life of the universe. That way, there's more resources to go around. Now, for those of you wondering, why didn't Thanos just double the resources as opposed to half of the population's gone? The resources are linear. The populations are exponential. Why is that? Why did I bring that up again? For why didn't Thanos double the resources? Well, if the resources were doubled, not only would there probably not be enough space for them to be placed anyway, they would just be consumed quickly by the exponential population. So if he halved that, it would take a while for that curve to get back up. From a mathematical standpoint, Thanos seems pretty good. However, from our ethical standpoint, no, he seems like a monster. Pretty much the whole Avengers Infinity War movie is Thanos getting all the Infinity Stones to complete his goal. So, it starts off with Thor being confronted by Thanos because Loki had the Tesseract, the Space Stone. So Thanos split the Asgardian refugee ship in half, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's minor detail. But Thanos took the Space Stone from Loki, killed Loki, and pretty much blew up half of that Asgardian ship. Now, detail many people confused, Thanos didn't blow up the entire Asgardian ship. He split it in two, then went to get the Space Stone. He didn't blow up that whole Asgardian refugee ship. Thanos took the Space Stone, thought he had killed Thor, and left. However, Thor wasn't dead. He was picked up by the Guardians of the Galaxy, who received a distress signal. So, they picked up Thor, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy split him into 3 different groups. Well, technically, it was originally 2, but then the bigger one split into 2 more. So, the first division went between Rocket and Groot and Star-Lord, Gamora, Mantis, and Drax. So Thor had told him, hey, I need to get a new weapon because Mjolnir, Thor's weapon that he's been using within most of the MCU movies, was destroyed. So we needed to get a new weapon, a new kingly weapon. So Rocket and Groot were willing to go to help Thor get a new weapon to fight Thanos. Whereas the others were going to try to stop Thanos before getting the Reality Stone because Thor had told them where Asgard had placed it. So those 4 Guardians of the Galaxy members went to Nowhere, which is Knowhere, and it's a giant celestial head place. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. But they went to Nowhere to get the Reality Stone, but Thanos had already beaten them there, had gotten the Reality Stone, and then he took Gamora with him because Gamora was the only one that knew where the Soul Stone was. So that is where the other division was. So the 3 groups are Rocket and Groot, Star-Lord, Drax and Mantis, and Gamora. So I'll just go over what happens to Gamora. So Gamora eventually gives in to telling Thanos where the Soul Stone is after seeing Nebula being tortured. So she told him it was on the planet Vormir, and Thanos pretty much goes there with Gamora to make sure it was still accurate. So they go to Vormir, and that is where they meet the Red Skull. So that is the place where Red Skull was teleported after the events of Captain America, the First Avenger. The Red Skull told them, hey, I can't get it myself. I can't. But it requires a sacrifice of that of which you love. Because in order to know its true power, you must sacrifice that of which you love, which is the same way on how to get it. So Thanos had to sacrifice Gamora in order to get the Soul Stone. Now, he didn't want to do it, but he had to in order to complete his goal. So he sacrificed Gamora, and then he got the Soul Stone. Now, why did he have to do that? Now, keep in mind, I said the line, in order to know its true power, you have to sacrifice that of which you love. Not only is that how to get the stone, it pretty much explains the Soul Stone's purpose. So Thanos had to sacrifice Gamora in order to get the Soul Stone, and we see Gamora in the Soul Stone. Now, why is that important? Because as I said in my Infinity Stone video, the Soul Stone is a containment unit. So, in order to understand the Soul Stone's power, you need to sacrifice that of which you love. That way it's in the Soul Stone. It's like in order for you to get this wallet, you need to have stuff to put in the first place. Yeah, so Thanos gets the Soul Stone, and yeah, pretty much now he has access to Soul World, which is where Gamora is. So now let me get into the Avengers. So if you remember, there's the legal and the illegal Avengers. So the Avengers are still divided. And more at the beginning of the movie, Thanos' subordinates attack New York in order to get the Time Stone from Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is captured, but Iron Man and Spider-Man chase after him and get into the ship he was on, where he was held captive, and that ship leaves for Titan. So Spider-Man and Iron Man were already on there when it started leaving. They attacked the guy who kept Doctor Strange captive, but then they all agree, hey, what about we take the fight to Thanos instead of cowarding and heading back home? So they are like, okay. Now, the other Guardian of the Galaxy group with Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax, they had gotten a message from Nebula, who actually escaped, saying, hey, I'll meet you at Titan. That's where Thanos is going to be at some point. So the Guardians are like, okay, we'll meet you there, and they leave for Titan. Now that is where the three Avengers and the three Guardians of the Galaxy meet. So at first they think each other's working for Thanos, but then they realize, oh, we're both doing the same thing. So they're there before Thanos arrives. So after Thanos had gotten the Soul Stone, he teleported himself to Titan in order to get the Time Stone. Now he was confronted with a big onslaught from the Avengers and Guardians team up, but he pretty much won. So he was about to kill Tony Stark when Doctor Strange was like, wait, I'll give you the Time Stone, just make sure Tony stays alive. So Thanos accepts the trade, and he said no tricks. And Doctor Strange agreed. So I personally think Doctor Strange didn't do anything to the Time Stone, so I'm debunking that theory. Doctor Strange gives the Time Stone to Thanos, and Thanos pretty much is like, okay, and he leaves. What about the other Avengers? So pretty much all the other Avengers had to protect Vision, because that was the last Infinity Stone left on Earth. So they had to protect Vision, and they were like, hey, we can still get the Mind Stone out of Vision's forehead without killing Vision. But they realized the only place that had enough technology to do that was Wakanda. So they all went to Wakanda, and there, not only did they protect Vision, they were there so that Vision could get a special surgery or whatever you want to call it in order to get the Mind Stone out of his forehead. How long has my foot been on my leg? I'll just summarize that whole event. Thanos' other subordinates tried launching multiple alien waves at the Avengers. Thor finally gets his weapon, which is Stormbreaker. Now, Stormbreaker is pretty much an axe, like a hammer end on one end, but like a big blade on the other. Stormbreaker also has another ability that Mjolnir never had, which was the ability to teleport. Now, because it has the power of the Bifrost, but that's just other Asgardian gibberish. So, Stormbreaker, something to keep in mind though, for this future movie, it hasn't been seen yet, but something to keep in mind, anyone can pick up Stormbreaker. Because there was that, only if you could be worthy that kind of spell or whatever put on Mjolnir, but not on Stormbreaker. So, anyone can pick it up, keep that in mind. Thor, once he gets it, he's like, okay, sweet, I'm going to meet the Avengers in Wakanda. So he teleports himself, Rocket, and Groot to Wakanda, and they assist in the battle. They pretty much fend off all those other aliens. They defeat Thanos' subordinates. But then Vision couldn't finish the surgery because it was too late. Thanos had already arrived, so they realized, oh, the only way to make sure Thanos doesn't get it is in order to destroy it. Now, they had already seen this possibility They just wanted to avoid it. So they were like, okay, Scarlet Witch, you need to destroy the Mind Stone. She was able to destroy it because she got her powers from the Mind Stone, meaning they have equal strengths. Like, the Mind Stone and her are somewhat equal in power, so only equal powers can destroy each other. So she was destroying the Mind Stone, and she did. And Thanos had only that last stone to go. But he had already gotten the Time Stone, so pretty much he had just undone that and gotten the Mind Stone out of Vision's forehead and completed the gauntlet, as shown by my mug here. I hope it's not too reflective to where you can see the stones. So, yeah. So Thanos completed the gauntlet, but was stabbed in the chest by Stormbreaker because Thor wanted massive revenge for Thanos, like killing half the Asgardians and the rest of his family. But Thanos was like, you should have gone for the head, and snapped after like a minute or two. Half of everything, creature-wise, turned it into dust. Thanos went on to like a nice farm area, which is relatable to the comics. Let me go over who dies. So on Titan, I'd forgotten to say Nebula did meet the Six there, but Thanos had already arrived. So she's on Titan. So for the Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody but Rocket died. Now, Nebula is not a Guardians of the Galaxy, so she's still alive. But Rocket's the only Guardian alive. For the Avengers, it was Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, which left Tony Nebula left on Titan. And then at Wakanda, for the Avengers, it was Bucky, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, and the Black Panther, and Scarlet Witch. Now, Vision was already killed normally, so. Who are the people still left alive? Now, as I had just already said, Tony Nebula are still alive, as well as Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, War Machine, Bruce Banner, and... So those are the 7 Avengers still left alive. Now, something to keep in mind, I have not brought up Hawkeye at all. Hawkeye was not in this film because he and Scott Lang are on house arrest because they were helping the illegal Avengers in Captain America Civil War. Who is Scott Lang exactly, since I just threw out this name? So Scott Lang is Ant-Man. Now, I haven't talked about him in this series, my MCU summary series, because he hasn't been in an Avenger movie yet. So Avengers Endgame is his first Avenger movie. So Ant-Man, what does he do? He can pretty much shrink and grow at will. Well, he wears a suit. It's not like he can just do it when he's naked or anything. So he needs a special suit, and he did not design it. An old scientist named Hank Pym designed it. The suit can also shrink to like quantum size, which is like probably I think even beyond microscopic. But mostly when he shrinks, he's like the size of an ant. There's the name, Ant-Man. And he can control ants at will through some special machinery in his helmet. It's complicating but kind of cool. So at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, which he's finally off of house arrest. Whoopee. He was going to help Hank Pym and his family get more energy because they were going to try to help someone else that they met in that movie, but that doesn't matter. He was going to help them because they were all the techie people. Scott Lang's not at all. So Scott Lang was holding a capsule to like a little container or whatever because the quantum realm has a lot of energy. So he was going to shrink to quantum size, open the canister, suck in a whole bunch of energy, and they were going to grow him back to normal size safely. So he shrinks down, he's like, okay guys, you can bring me up. Guys? Hello? And we, the audience, see that his friends pretty much all were snapped away into dust. So that is where Ant-Man was during the Avengers Infinity War. Now, there is one other character I should bring up, and that is Captain Marvel. Now, if you have not seen the movie yet, do not worry. I don't even have to go into that movie in order to go over who she is. She's probably going to be the most powerful Avenger in this movie. So, like, she has powerful laser beams. She can fly. She can do a whole lot of stuff, mostly beams and flying. That's the general powers, just the lasers and the flying. But if you look at how she uses the lasers and all that other stuff that she does with like projections of heat and stuff like that, it's a lot more powerful than you would expect from me describing it that way. Now, if you're wondering, hey, wasn't her movie placed in the 90s? Why did she look the same? Now, there was a quote in the Captain Marvel trailers. Don't worry, this won't spoil anything. There was a line in the trailers that actually wasn't in the movie, and that was, with your powers, you will be stronger, more powerful, and you will live longer. So that is why she looks the same, because with her powers, she ages slower. So that is why she's looked the same for about the past 30 years now. Actually, if it takes place in 95, that's last 24 years. So that is it for the Avengers Endgame characters and events. So pretty much half of everybody disappeared. Everybody's traumatized because they've all seen some people disappear. And another thing to bring up was in Infinity War, the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene is pretty much after all the credits go. So for Infinity War, we see Nick Fury's perspective on people disappearing. They see helicopter crashes, car crashes, all in New York. And he had a special communicator that was like famous in the 90s. So he went to communicate Captain Marvel. Hey, there's lots of danger on Earth, however, as you probably will already know, if the snapping is all over the universe. So pretty much she's going to know to come to Earth because Fury sent a little distress signal. But Fury also disappeared from the snap. So yeah, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is still down, so the Avengers are still on their own. Okay guys, that is all I have in this video for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was pretty informative in this video, as well as the rest of my MCU summary series. Now, before you leave, I have just one question for you. Who do you think is more powerful, Captain Marvel or Vision? Do not do any other side characters, please. So I hope I was informative, and with that, sayonara.